Sunday mornings in my kitchen always smell like cinnamon and calm. Pancakes are my little love language, golden, fluffy circles of peace before the week begins. The sunlight filters through the curtains just right, and for a moment, life feels simple. Then I hear tiny footsteps pattering down the hallway. Ethan bursts in, his face glowing, holding a wrinkled sheet of paper like it's gold. "Mommy, look what I drew at school!" he shouts, nearly tripping in excitement. I laugh, wiping my hands on a towel before kneeling to meet him. I take the drawing carefully, as if it were a fragile secret. "Oh, that's beautiful, sweetheart." "Who's that?" I ask, tracing the colorful stick figures with my eyes. "That's you. That's Daddy," he says proudly. "And that's the lady from Daddy's car." The air leaves my chest for a second. My smile falters, but I manage to keep my voice steady. "The lady from Daddy's car?" I repeat, forcing a small laugh, as if maybe I'd misheard. Ethan nods innocently, swinging his legs, still grinning. "Yeah, Daddy said not to tell you because it's a surprise. She has pretty hair, like a princess." My stomach drops, and the room suddenly feels too quiet, too still. Before I can form another question, Jason walks in, loosening his tie, wearing that easy smile that used to make me melt. "What's this, buddy?" he asks, still unaware. "My drawing," Ethan beams. "I drew you, Mommy, and the lady from your car." Jason's smile flickers for a split second, just long enough for me to see it. Jason chuckles, but it's the kind of laugh that sounds forced, a little too quick, a little too shallow. "Oh, that's just someone from work, remember?" he says, patting Ethan's shoulder and glancing at me, almost as if he's gauging how much I've heard. "Someone from work, huh?" I repeat softly, studying his face the way you study a book you've read too many times, looking for the page where the story changed. He nods, eyes darting to the pan, pretending to notice the pancakes just to avoid mine. Ethan, blissfully unaware, goes back to coloring on the floor. I keep my tone calm, light even, but my mind's spinning. If she's just someone from work, why did he tell our son not to mention her? Why does Ethan remember her hair? Kids see what adults think they can hide, and that realization stings worse than any accusation could. I set the pancakes down, pretending everything's fine, my hands moving automatically while my thoughts unravel thread by thread. Jason wraps his arm around me, kisses the top of my head, and says, "You worry too much, Lyd. Don't let his imagination get to you." But I can feel the tension in his body, the same tension I used to feel when he was lying about staying late at the office. "Maybe you're right," I murmur, my lips curving into a practiced smile. But inside, I'm already replaying Ethan's words, the lady from Daddy's car. Something about them feels too real to ignore. After breakfast, Jason leaves for his errand, and the house feels strangely hollow. The silence presses against me as I wash the dishes, the sound of running water masking my thoughts. Ethan hums softly at the table, still drawing. When I glance over, he's added another figure. The same lady, same red dress, standing right beside Jason's car. My chest tightens. "Sweetheart," I say carefully. "How do you know what she looks like?" He grins, not looking up. "Because she waved at me once. Daddy said she was a friend." "A friend." My hands stop midair, dripping with soapy water. The word echoes in my head, heavy, deliberate. Friend. I remember Jason once telling me his ex, Clara, loved red dresses, said it made her feel powerful. I told myself not to think about it, but now that memory feels like a match to dry wood. I stare at the drawing again, that same red, the same little smile Ethan gave her. There's no mistaking it. Jason comes home later that night, his shirt smelling faintly of cologne that isn't his usual. He hugs Ethan, kisses me, and I pretend to melt into the gesture like I used to. But behind the warmth, something colder settles in, the quiet birth of suspicion. I smile, pour him a glass of wine, and nod as he talks about work. But part of me is no longer listening. Part of me is planning to find out just how real that drawing is. That night, I can't sleep. Jason's breathing is steady beside me, but mine refuses to match it. The ceiling feels too close, the air too still. I reach for the lamp and glance again at Ethan's drawing on my nightstand. The red dress, the car, the smile. My fingers trace the lines like they might reveal something I missed. Red. Clara loved red. The thought creeps in uninvited, dragging old memories behind it. The way Jason used to talk about her, half regret, half nostalgia. I tell myself it's nothing, but my heart doesn't believe me. The next morning, I pour Jason's coffee and watch him like a stranger I'm trying to read. He moves easily, too easily, humming as he fixes his tie. Busy week ahead? I ask casually. Same as usual, he says, not looking up. Late meetings, dinner with clients Thursday. I nod, smiling like a good wife, but inside I'm filing every word away, storing it like evidence. Where's the dinner again? I ask, keeping my tone light. Mateo's downtown, he says without blinking. Too smooth, too rehearsed. After he leaves, I stand by the window, mug in hand, watching his car disappear down the street. I tell myself to let it go, to trust him, but that word, trust, suddenly feels foreign, like a language I used to speak fluently but can't remember anymore. I look at the clock. Thursday isn't far, and if my gut's right, the truth won't be hiding at Mateo's. Thursday arrives like a test I didn't study for. I spend the day pretending to clean, to read, to breathe normally. Every sound feels amplified. The ticking clock, the distant traffic, the hum of the refrigerator. When Jason kisses me goodbye that evening, smelling faintly of cologne and guilt, I smile and say, "Good luck with your clients." He nods, kisses Ethan's head, and walks out as if everything's perfectly ordinary. But my hands are trembling when I lock the door behind him. Something deep inside me already knows. 2 hours later, I grab my keys and drive toward Mateo's. The city lights blur past, and with every red light, my chest tightens a little more. When I finally pull up to the restaurant, I park across the street and scan the lot. His car isn't there. No silver sedan, no reflection of truth. Just couples walking in, laughing, hands intertwined. People who have no idea how lucky they are to trust. My pulse pounds in my ears as I whisper to myself, if he's not here, where is he? I stay for 10 minutes, then 20. Still nothing. The lie feels heavier now, like a secret pressing against my ribs. I drive home slower, my thoughts louder than the engine. Back in our bedroom, I open the drawer where Ethan's drawing still rests, the red dress almost glowing under the lamplight. For the first time, I don't look at it as a child's art. I look at it as evidence. My son had seen something I wasn't supposed to see. The next morning, Jason acts like nothing's wrong. He hums while buttering his toast, checks his phone, kisses Ethan goodbye. I watch him, studying every blink, every pause between his words. Late night? I ask lightly. Yeah, ran over time with the clients, he replies, sipping his coffee without meeting my eyes. My stomach twists. Not from anger, not yet, but from that creeping awareness that the man across from me isn't who I thought he was. The sunlight catches the edge of his wedding ring, and I wonder when it stopped meaning something. After he leaves, I sit at the table long after the front door closes. The kitchen smells like coffee and lies. I glance at Ethan's backpack on the counter, then at the drawing pinned to the fridge, that red dress taunting me. Children don't invent details that vivid, I think. My hand tightens around the mug, knuckles white. I don't cry. Not yet. There's something colder rising in me. The need for clarity. I owe it to myself, and to the little boy who trusts me to keep the truth safe. That night, when Jason calls to say he'll be late again, my voice stays calm, warm even. Of course, honey, I tell him. Take your time. But as I hang up, I open my laptop and start typing an address. A private investigator I once helped a friend find. My fingers hesitate for a second, then press send. If Jason's building a story, I'm about to start mine. One where I finally know everything he's been hiding behind that perfect smile. By Friday, my nerves feel stretched thin, like a violin string ready to snap. I decide to pick Ethan up from school myself, something normal, grounding, innocent. The late afternoon sun paints everything in gold, and for a moment, I almost convince myself I've imagined it all. But as we drive home, Ethan suddenly leans forward, pointing out the window. "Mommy, look! Daddy's car!" My heart skips a beat. I follow his finger, and there it is, parked in front of a small cafe I've never noticed before, and beside it, a flash of red. My hands tighten around the steering wheel until my knuckles ache. "Are you sure that's Daddy's car, sweetheart?" I ask, trying to sound casual, even as my voice shakes. "Yeah, and that's the lady from the drawing," he says, his tone bright, unaware that he's just ripped something open inside me. I park a little way down the street, my pulse hammering, and peer through the cafe window. And there they are, Jason and Clara, his ex, leaning close, laughing like old lovers. She's wearing a red dress. Of course she is. For a moment, everything freezes. The noise of the street, the world outside that glass. It's all too vivid. Jason's smile, the way Clara tilts her head, the way his hand grazes hers. Betrayal isn't loud, it's quiet, ordinary, almost tender. I glance at Ethan in the back seat, his little face pressed to the window, still smiling. My throat tightens. I force a breath, steady my voice, and turn to him. "Hey, how about we go get ice cream before we head home?" He cheers. I smile too, but it's the kind of smile you wear when you've just made a promise to yourself. As we walk away from the cafe, I can still feel their laughter echoing behind me, sharp as broken glass. Ethan skips beside me, clutching my hand, oblivious to the storm brewing in my chest. "Can I tell Daddy we saw him?" he asks innocently, licking his ice cream. My lips curve into a small, practiced smile. "Not yet, sweetheart," I say softly. "Mommy wants it to be a surprise." My voice doesn't tremble, but my heart does. Every word feels like a seed, one that will grow into something Jason will never see coming. That night, after Ethan's asleep, I sit on the couch in the dark, replaying every detail from the cafe. The red dress, the way Jason leaned in close, the soft light catching on Clara's bracelet, the same one she wore years ago when he used to talk about her. It's strange how betrayal has a smell. His cologne mixed with guilt still lingers in my memory. I feel anger, yes, but beneath it there's something steadier. Resolve. I won't scream. I won't beg. I'll make sure he feels what I feel, quietly, deeply, and without warning. When Jason finally walks in, he looks tired but oddly content. "Long day," he says, tossing his keys onto the counter. I nod, keeping my tone even. "You look like it." He doesn't notice the way I study him, how his shirt smells faintly of roses, not the detergent we use. He kisses my forehead, thanks me for waiting up, and disappears into the shower. The water runs, and I stare at the closed door, thinking about the woman in the red dress. My son saw her first. Now I've seen her too, and I'm not done looking. The next morning, sunlight filters through the curtains, painting the room in gold that feels almost cruel. Jason hums while getting dressed, pretending that life is as it's always been. I hand him his coffee, steady and calm, watching how easily he lies just by existing. "You seem distracted," he says, smiling that same old smile, the one that used to make me feel safe. "Just tired," I reply, meeting his gaze long enough for him to look away first. Funny how guilt always flinches before it speaks. After he leaves, I open my laptop. The investigator's email is sitting there, unread since last night. My finger hovers, then clicks. Photos load slowly, grainy, ordinary, undeniable. Jason at the cafe. Jason holding Clara's hand. Jason looking at her like he once looked at me. My breath catches, but I don't cry. Instead, I study every picture, letting the truth settle deep, layer by layer, until it becomes something solid. Proof doesn't hurt, it heals, it turns suspicion into strategy. I print the photos, slip them into a folder, and tuck them into the kitchen drawer, right beside Ethan's drawing. Two versions of the same story, one told in crayon, the other in ink. I pour myself another cup of coffee and stand by the window as Jason's car disappears down the street again. There's no sadness now, only silence, the kind that comes before a storm. He doesn't know it yet, but the woman in my son's drawing has just rewritten the ending of our story. That evening, the house feels unnaturally still, like it's holding its breath. I set the table carefully, every movement deliberate. Fork, knife, napkin. And right beside Jason's plate, I place Ethan's drawing, the one that started it all. The crayons look innocent under the warm light, almost mocking. I sit, waiting. When the door finally opens, I hear his familiar footsteps and the jingle of keys. "What's for dinner?" he asks, loosening his tie like it's any other night. My voice comes out soft but sharp enough to cut. "Honesty." He pauses, caught off guard. "What?" he says, forcing a chuckle. I push the drawing toward him across the table. "Ethan's masterpiece," I whisper. "He's quite observant, isn't he?" His smile falters. He stares down at the paper, then up at me. The room is quiet except for the hum of the refrigerator. "Lydia, it's not what it looks like," he begins. "You know," I interrupt, "every liar starts with that sentence." My voice doesn't rise. It doesn't need to. The truth is already screaming between us. He swallows hard, fumbling for words. "Clara needed help," he says finally. "She's been struggling." I nod slowly, tilting my head. Then maybe she should draw her own husband next time. The silence after that feels like the moment before thunder, heavy, inevitable. His jaw tightens, his hands trembling slightly as he looks anywhere but at me. For the first time, I realize he's afraid, and that fear, I think, suits him. I stand slowly, walk to the counter, and pick up the folder I've been waiting to use. It feels heavier than it should, full of proof, full of endings. I place it in front of him, the sound of paper against wood echoing through the kitchen. "You're predictable, Jason," I say quietly. "Even our 6-year-old can map your schedule better than your lies." He opens the folder, and the color drains from his face. The photos stare back at him and Clara at the cafe, hands intertwined, smiles too close, too real. His mouth opens, but no sound comes out. "Lydia, please," he finally says, voice shaking. "You don't understand." I laugh softly, bitterly. "No, Jason, I understand perfectly. You just never thought I would." He looks at me like a man watching his carefully built world tilt off its axis. I can almost feel his panic, the way his heart races under that composed facade. But I don't move. I let him sit in it, let him drown in his own excuses. He reaches across the table, desperate now. "Lyd, don't do this. We can fix it. For Ethan." His words hang heavy, wrapped in guilt he's too late to feel. "You did this yourself," I reply, my voice calm, final. "For years, I loved the way he said my name. Tonight, it sounds hollow, like something that no longer belongs to me." He lowers his head, and for the first time, I see it. The look of a man who's finally realized he's lost everything. He stays seated, shoulders slumped, as if gravity's finally caught up with him. I walk around the table, collecting the plates I'd never filled. "You know what's funny?" I say quietly, stacking them in the sink. "You thought you were being clever, sneaking around, erasing messages, changing passwords, but you forgot the one person who never lies." I turn and look at him. Our son. His eyes widen, shame washing over him. For a second, I almost pity him. Almost. He stands, reaching for me. "Lydia, I made a mistake." "No," I cut in, stepping back. "You made choices, repeatedly. And the saddest part? I would have forgiven the first lie if you'd just stopped there." My voice softens, but it's sharper than any shout could be. "But you didn't. You built a world where I was supposed to stay blind." His jaw tightens, tears brimming but never falling. "I love you," he whispers. I shake my head slowly. "You loved yourself more." The clock ticks between us like a countdown. I grab my purse, the folder, and the last ounce of patience I have left. I'm done cooking for ghosts, I say, moving toward the hallway. He doesn't follow, maybe because he knows he can't fix what he's already burned. As I climb the stairs to check on Ethan, I feel something shift inside me. It's not relief, not yet. It's power, quiet, heavy, and real. The kind that doesn't need noise to be felt. Revenge, I've learned, doesn't need fire. It just needs precision. 2 days after that dinner, I wake up before dawn, calm in a way I haven't been in weeks. Jason's already left for work, which makes things easier. I get dressed, pull my hair into a bun, and drive across town to Clara's office. The building smells like fresh paint and cheap perfume, fitting for someone who mistakes chaos for passion. When I walk in, the receptionist assumes I'm a client. Good. That's exactly what I want her to think. Clara appears a few minutes later, her red dress like a flag of arrogance. "Lydia?" she says, startled but trying to stay composed. This isn't... I raise a hand, calm and firm. "Relax, I'm not here to fight." Her confusion almost makes me smile. I lean in slightly, lowering my voice. "I just wanted to thank you. You gave me clarity, something I'd been missing for a long time." Her lips part, unsure if it's a compliment or a threat. "I didn't mean to hurt anyone," she murmurs, eyes flickering. "Oh, you did," I reply smoothly. "But don't worry, you can have him now." Her brow furrows. "What do you mean?" I give her a soft, polite smile. "Jason's yours, along with his debt, his temper, and his habit of lying about everything except the weather." I pause, savoring her discomfort. "He's a full-time project, and you seem like you enjoy fixing broken things." The color drains from her face. I adjust my bag, stand tall, and turn toward the door. "Good luck, Clara. You'll need it." And as I walk out, I don't feel anger, just relief, smooth and cold, like the first breath after a storm. When I get home, the silence feels different, not heavy anymore, just mine. I make myself a cup of tea, the kind Jason never liked, and sit by the window watching Ethan play in the yard. There's peace in ordinary sounds, the dog barking, the rustle of leaves, the clink of my spoon against the mug. Power doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers through moments like this. I think about the folder I left tucked away, about how one woman's betrayal became another woman's freedom. A few days later, Jason calls. His voice is low, almost pleading. "Lydia, can we talk?" he asks. "About what?" I reply, calm and detached. "About us," he says. I glance at the papers spread across the table, documents transferring the house deed solely into my name, something I arranged months ago when I still believed in foresight more than fate. "You might want to read the fine print before we talk," I say lightly. He doesn't understand until it's too late. His silence on the other end is almost poetic. "You can't just..." he starts, but I cut him off. "I already did," I say, sipping my tea. I learned from the best, how to act before anyone else knows. I hang up before he can answer, setting the phone beside me with a steady hand. It's strange how victory feels. Not loud or triumphant, but clean. I look out at Ethan chasing Max across the grass, sunlight catching in his hair, and think, this is what starting over looks like. No fireworks, just truth. A week later, I pack the last of Jason's things into a box, neatly, without malice. There's something sacred about closure done quietly. I leave the box by the door with a note. For the man who taught me never to ignore red flags or red dresses. Then I lock the door behind me, not to keep him out, but to keep peace in. The house feels lighter, brighter. For the first time, I can breathe without wondering what lies are waiting at the next dinner table. Ethan and I bake pancakes that morning, just like we used to. "Can we make them extra fluffy, Mommy?" he asks, his laughter bubbling through the kitchen. "Always," I say, smiling genuinely this time. He doesn't know the full story, and maybe he never will. Maybe that's my final act of love, protecting his idea of home. When he hugs me, Sticky with syrup, it feels like forgiveness I didn't know I needed. Not from Jason, from myself. Later that day, I drive past Clara's cafe. She's there alone, staring out the window. I don't stop. I don't need to. Some stories don't deserve sequels. As I turn onto our street, I realize revenge isn't about destroying someone else's life. It's about reclaiming your own. Jason lost a wife. Clara gained a lesson. And I gained silence that finally feels like peace. Months later, the world feels softer. The mornings no longer sting. They hum. Ethan and I spend Sunday at the park, the same way we used to before everything cracked open. The air smells of grass and childhood laughter, and for the first time in forever, my chest doesn't feel tight. "Mommy, look!" Ethan calls, holding up another drawing. I smile, kneeling beside him in the warm sunlight. His little hands are smudged with crayons. "Who's in this one?" I ask, my voice lighter than it's been in years. He beams proudly. "Just you and me. Oh, and Max." Our dog barks right on cue, chasing after a fluttering leaf. I laugh, really laugh, and take the picture from him. It's bright, simple, full of color. No third figure, no shadows, just us. "It's perfect," I whisper, kissing the top of his head. He grins, runs off again, and I sit there watching him, feeling the quiet pulse of peace in every heartbeat. This is what love should look like: honest, peaceful, real. My phone buzzes beside me. I glance down. A message from Jason. "I made a mistake. Can we talk?" For a second, the old ache tries to surface, but it doesn't stand a chance. I type back slowly. "You already did enough talking with her. I'm done listening." I hit send, close my phone, and look back toward Ethan. He waves, laughing, calling me to join him. And I do, running barefoot through the grass, free at last in a life that's finally mine.